Got my cue? Action, right? Good morning, everybody. John Martin here, Southeast Texas Groundwater. Thank you for joining us at our latest installment of GMA 14 meeting here, October 5th, 2021. And with that, I suspect we may have a moderately long meeting ahead of us, so why don't we get rolling? We'll start with a call to order. Just did that technically, let's put it at 9:37 a.m. Item number 2 on the agenda is confirmation of receipt of posted notices. I can confirm that the meeting has been posted and we have evidence of that for all 5 districts. And next item, welcome and introductions. I've already introduced myself. Why don't we go to Zach?
He says I'm Zach. I'm with Blue Bonnet, and that's about all I will claim to be today.
Miss Beverly.
Beverly Hopkins, Brazoria County, GCD.
Mike.
Mike Turco, Harris Galveston Subsidence District.
Robert.
Robert Thompson, the Fort Bend Subsidence District.
Miss Ritter.
Groundwater Conservation District.
And as you can tell, Samantha's voice is gone, so I'm James Beach, consultant to Lone Star, and I'm here to help her voice her voice thoughts and opinions.
Mr. Ashmore.
Hey, good morning. I'm Gary. I also want to say to you guys, it's nice seeing you in 3D. I missed you guys. The attorneys, not so much. Mike, small feedback. Thank you for the donuts. I saw a sign that said brisket. There was nothing behind it in that room. You might want to work on it next time.
And bacon.
Just come back next Wednesday.
Okay, all right.
I'm Pudge Wilcox and I represent Chambers County.
Thank you, Pudge. It looks like we are missing Kirk this morning, but we do have all 5 of the GCD members here, so we have a quorum. Next on the agenda, public comments. I have received nothing indicating anybody wanted to provide public comments as of yet. Nothing online. Do we have the sign-in sheet? Did anybody sign in for public comments? Anything? We are rocking and rolling. Moving right along, agenda item number 5, discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the April 9th, 2021 GMA 14 joint planning meeting. We've all had it for quite some time. Anybody like to move to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Gary will second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next item, now item number 6, update from the Texas Water Development Board and discussion of any related items of interest to GMA 14. Mr. French, how are you this morning?
Thank you, John. Appreciate it very much. I'm Larry French with the Development Board, and I've got a couple of items to update you on since our last meeting back in April. So, first of all, I'm happy to report that about 1/2 of the groundwater management areas have adopted their DFCs and are now submitting their packages to us. So that's very much appreciated. Of course, we have that January 2022 deadline in law to complete the process. When you do adopt your DFCs, we are asking that any files related to the explanatory report be sent to us on a USB drive or put it on the FTP site. That would help a lot. We do have some issues apparently we've experienced downloading files. So if you have any questions, give me a call and I'll work through it.
Sounds good.
Back in July, now seems like ancient history, but the board did adopt the 2022 state water plan. That is available, but we have an interactive component of that. You can go to our agency website and see that. We also think to be of interest in this region is we have a new and improved texaswater.org. A lot of energy these days on the flood issues. So if you haven't seen that website, be sure to go to it. There's a lot of good information for your districts there. We also have new GMA maps that have been prepared by Kendris, one of our components of our agency. They're available on the Kendris website. So if you have any questions about that or need to access, just let me know. That's pretty much the update that I have.
Thank you, sir.
May I ask a question? Mr. French, how are we doing on the DFC schedule? Are we in the normal or are other people through or not through or?
Some are,
Right.
you're about in the middle, I'd
Mhm.
say. We have a number of GMA meetings. We have another one tomorrow, GMA 12, I believe, meets tomorrow. There's several, there's, like I said, about half of the
Okay.
GMAs have formally adopted, so a number of others have got meetings scheduled.
Cool.
No one's getting impacted on the schedule.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything of interest to the GMA 14 that they'd like to discuss? Other than the Water Development Board folks? Seeing nothing, let's keep this meeting moving along. We're going to convene as the meeting of the GMA 14 Joint Planning interlocal agreement participants at this time. We've only got one item on there, basically to allow for any comments that any of our interlocal participants would like to provide. It is item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding the DFCs, proposed DFCs and the path forward for GMA 14 to accomplish statutory mandates for round 3 joint planning. I only have it in there as a placeholder just to allow for comments from any of our interlocal folks. So anything? Nothing? Moving right along. We shall reconvene as the convene as the interlocal agreement participant, or adjourn as the interlocal and reconvene as GMA 14 representatives. Item number 8, review, discuss, and consideration of summary reports regarding written comments received by each GCD during its public comment period and at its public hearing, and to consider any GCD's suggested revisions to the proposed desired future conditions. I believe this will be the meat of today's conversation. Would anybody like to start? Miss Ritter.
So that's what you see here. So just to kind of save my voice and you'll hear some more or less. I asked James to kind of read a letter that I wrote to everyone.
Great.
Okay. My fellow GMA members, we're here today to collaborate, to finish the work we've started, and to come to a consensus on the DFC and resolution. In order to do so, we are requesting one small change to the statement. You've all received our summary report and supporting technical documents for our proposed resolution. Though long, I am hopeful that you have read and better understand the reasons Lone Star is requesting the change from and to or. We each want what is best for our communities. We each also report to a board of directors which elected or appointed and must carry out their will. I'm asking for the opportunity to do what is best for my GCD, and I want to respect your need to do what is best for yours. We spent considerable time examining how our concerns with the DFC could be addressed within the framework of the proposed DFC statement and in support of what we understand to be your objectives and goals. We heard when some said they could not support the Run D option. We heard when some said they needed or wanted the subsidence metric for their counties. We also understand that we all manage our counties differently and may be implementing the DFCs in varying ways. And we are allowed to be different in those ways. This is why we went back to the drawing board and tried to come up with a solution that could work for all of us. We think our proposed change and resolution gives each GCD what they need to do what is best for their district. and allowing flexibility, if you will. Given the legal hurdles that Lone Star went through in the last round of DFCs, we are required to focus on adopting a DFC that addresses those petition issues and ideally is agreeable to our fellow districts. Not only does Lone Star not want to go through those legal challenges again, we do not want anyone else to go through them either. We feel our requested change will help prevent that. We are actively addressing our issues on a local level and will continue to work with our stakeholders to address their concerns. As you can see in our summary report, a large majority of Montgomery County has not expressed support for a subsidence DFC. We are working closely with the folks who are in support of the subsidence DFC to discuss how their concerns can be addressed without saddling the entire county with a subsidence DFC that they are not in favor of. In addition to working with all of the stakeholders, we want to work together with all of you in the joint planning process. Throughout the process, Lone Star has tried to stay focused on sound science and to collaborate with our fellow GCDs. We are all Texans, we are all neighbors, and we all want what is best for our counties. I genuinely hope you have not only heard my concerns, but have taken them to heart. I hope I can count on your support and respect as I respect each of you greatly. Finally, I hope we can move forward and collaborate better as we complete this round and work on future rounds. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on our proposed change and hope you can support changing the "and" to an "or." I am open and interested in hearing what we can do to get your support. Sincerely, your fellow rep, Samantha Wright.
Thank you, Sam. Would you guys care to elaborate on any of the specifics generally on the comments that you guys received or anything outside of that letter?
I'll tell you what, give us a minute to gather our thoughts and hear if someone else wants to jump in, then we'll come back and join. Does that
Mr.
work for you?
Ashmore, do you got any comments on your comments received?
The majority of the comments usually dealt with the fact of, I'm good looking, I'm intelligent, which I hear all the time. So it wasn't anything new. I didn't document those since I know y'all didn't want to hear it, but no.
We get enough of it.
Yeah. So we had 3 comments. One was from Sam. One was from the city of Conroe, and then a very nice gentleman from the Woodlands and sent us an email supporting the subsidence metric. That was really all we had. And then I wrote that up and it's on the box. So
And no recommendations whatsoever?
no, nothing new from us.
Mr. Holland?
We received several more than 3 comment letters. But the overwhelming, summation of those comments as we provided was were from or tied outside of Bluebonnet GCD. There was one that was an affected landowner, but again, those comments were echoed mostly towards the Montgomery County support of need for a subsidence metric. So that was really the bulk of our comments. Our comments received. We summarized and highlighted, all of those comments as needed and required, and also, again, implemented and showed kind of how our district is going to be implementing and addressing the DFCs as we read them, regardless of the "and" or the "or," and how we're going to approach the DFCs overall. And believe that our district is certainly supportive of the multiple metric approach of the 70% and the 1 foot additional subsidence, regardless of what an "and" reads or an "or" reads. That doesn't change our approach and how we walk through the steps of planning, then taking the planning into our management, ultimately our management into our policy. And keeping those 3 boxes very distinguished and apart from one another. Again, have our board met and also provided some some comments to Wade on the draft explanatory report, which again, we're very, very thankful and appreciative for that ability and providing that to us ahead of time, especially how it happened to fall with our board meeting and everything else, being able to provide those comments and also on the subsequent draft that you sent out. Really, really well done. Really appreciate your continued work and diligence in it, not just doing the work, but also responding to our comments. We really appreciate that. And outside of that, don't have any specific guided recommendations for changes to the statement as is, but we, again, our support is behind the multiple metric being utilized in some way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it's an and or an or. That doesn't change anything, as the focus of the and or the or is, we believe, is clarified by the model write-up and our dictation of that. So we're supportive of the multiple metric regardless of how it comes out, whether it's 70, 80, 90, and the 1 foot, whatever it is, as long as it's multiple metric, we're supportive of it.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hopkins.
We had we had 4 responses, one from City of Conroe, one from Samantha Reeder, and 2 residents of Montgomery County. So it was pretty much what everybody else was received. Our board also supports the 70% and 1 additional foot drawdown with and not being in there is fine, or is fine. So other than that, that's all we have was 4.
Thank you. I received quite a few comments at our district's office as well. I believe chimed in at something like 13 or 15 or something like that, varying across the spectrum, but similar to Zach, they were all focused on Montgomery County, essentially, and either the desire to have the subsidence metric included or not included, or I actually had 3 or 4 submittals, I think it was 3 submittals, where they preferred the 80% remaining model and recommended we chose that one. We did have one submittal from Mr. Marty Jones that was much more on the technical side of things, that we also reviewed and took into consideration. And in the end, my board chose to not recommend any changes whatsoever at this time to the DFC, the proposed DFCs that were suggested.
Nothing about your homely looks?
You know, they occasionally throw those comments out,
Okay,
but they've been doing it for 15 years now, so I ignore them.
You should.
As long as the paychecks keep coming, right? Anyhow.
I think we're ready.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I almost forgot you, didn't I? Skipped right back.
LSGCD received 142 comments. They received comments indicating that the DFC allowed too much pumping, and other comments that the DFC was too restrictive. Generally, the commenters indicating that the DFC allowed too much pumping also desired to include the subsidence metric, and those commenters were located in the southern border of the county, mainly the Woodlands, Spring, and Kingwood. Commenters indicating that the DFC was too restrictive did not want the subsidence DFC metric included, and the summary statement in the report reads that LSGCD supported the 70% remaining available drawdown metric and opposed the subsidence metric for LSGCD. As summarized herein, the public comments reinforce LSGCD's support of the 70% metric and opposition to the subsidence metric. A very small vocal minority, primarily in the Woodlands area, are the main proponents of the subsidence metric, while an overwhelming majority of the rest of the county remains strongly opposed to the subsidence metric. So the minor change to or ultimately allows each of us to do what is best for our counties and still allow Lone Star ability to work with stakeholders to finish our subsidence study.
Thank you, Ms. Ritter.
Wait
Much
a minute,
appreciated.
on a bumper sticker, the majority that's against the subsidence, what's the reason? Just, yeah, that doesn't like it. What's the reason they don't like it? They didn't say why.
portion.
Okay.
We also heard about the sparse network and the need to install more units.
Yeah, you're fine.
Install additional monitoring.
Okay. Okay.
If you want to, we can summarize what our position paper said about that. There's 7 things that are identified in the position paper. Some of you have read them.
That's gonna be a big bumper sticker.
Yeah, well, I'll make it a quick bumper stick.
Go ahead.
The best I can. So there are 7 different things laid out. Subsidence is not the limiting factor in any of the modeling scenarios. The subsidence metric is premature with LSGCD's pending subsidence study, the ongoing study. Uncertain measuring equipment accuracy, making it impossible for LSGCD to meaningfully consider the criterion in Texas Water Code 36108D8. LSGCD does not have enough equipment for meaningful spatial average to compare to the 1 foot metric with only 3 measurement sites in 2009. Impacts from other areas were not assessed regarding subsidence DFC feasibility. Number 6, the subsidence metric is arbitrary and not reasonable. We heard that from other folks. The inclusion of "and" in the DFC statement is inconsistent with the modeling criteria and should be changed to "and or." So there's some details to talk about with regard to the modeling on that. That's a summary of the position paper.
Did I read or hear, y'all do have a plan to add more equipment in the future, correct? Gotcha. Cool, thank you. We're adding some too as well.
Anybody else have anything to add to that? Let's move. This is frightening me. We're moving along so quick and smoothly.
You keep talking about it and we wind up here for another hour.
Yeah.
We're in the wrong position to get out of here.
We all get to hit you in the arm.
Okay, moving right along. Item 9, discussion, consideration, and possible action to revise and or adopt DFCs for GMA 14. Suggestions. Anybody like to fire this off? We have, as far as I'm aware, we've got 4 different resolutions that have been bounced around. They're listed in the Dropbox folder as item 9A through D.
It'd probably be most beneficial, I think, to just step through one of the resolutions and kind of build off if there's some additional tweaks to language or anything else, because that was the bulk of what really derailed us back in April from getting the 5.0 that we ultimately finally got to for the DFC proposed statement. So if you cool with stepping through, starting with my version 2?
Version 2? How about the D one? Is that version 2? So I received it yesterday, was told it was your version with Lone Star's red lines.
Sure.
Got your.
I don't have copies of it. Or is that the copy that you gave me here?
It is, no, that's. did I give you that copy?
This might be it.
Is it this one, John? That one? Okay, can you make some copies of it real quick?
Can you throw it on the screen, Mike?
We're having an issue with the
Okay.
projector right now, but I can get some printed out.
No, no.
We got
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool
It is
machines
in the
back there.
Dropbox folder for anybody who has access to
Put it in the
it.
machine and it.
80s technology.
I know, right?
You'd like to review it.
Is that the one that I asked you earlier?
It actually keeps
Just with the and or?
part of the stuff after the resolution.
That's the important part. Okay.
It's the end of it. The last one has Have the resolution listed in both places. I'll get that printed. Yeah, I'm supposed to have it in both. That's not the version, huh? An after the fact kind of thing. Okay, doke. Okay.
I like this version to start off with, and we can make the other changes right quick. I
Okay.
think this is my version too. Yeah. That'll make sense. Yeah. Thank you, kind sir. Everybody actually on one page.
As long as it's just
That's just freaky because I know I reworked that this morning with Sage specifically.
which is.
Making sure that you have as the, there will be a.
How the heck did that happen?
Thank you.
And excuse me, something that you gave me, it's a little bit different than this. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
This is my.
Jump to page.
Yeah. See, it's not so easy to use the latest technology, you know.
The reason we progress.
Don't blame this on John for saying that we're scooting along so fast.
Jinxed it, son of a.
Use your little gavel on your kneecaps.
Yeah. I mean, access to my main Dropbox. It was meant to be, but that last paragraph, I'm not sure what all is missing, but I know that last paragraph where it restates the DFC at the end is missing on that. And I cannot figure out as to how I did that.
So
I spent time and
I
I actually
believe
pulled the
the,
text out of every single box and shifted it over.
the big thing that 9D document, Stacy, is missing is the repeat of the statement as a resolved piece. Still has a couple of the, you know, the grammatical pieces in there that weren't done, but we can step through those right quick and get those squared away. That's the biggest glaring omission.
Yesterday. And I don't-
But did you know? Really was that hard.
You should have seen me stepping and fetching yesterday. I'd say the last 2 weeks, has been kind of crazy that way. And then this morning I had a 4:15, 4:30, and I cleaned all 4 versions of up. And I got to this one, and because of those text box issues, it took me 45 minutes to get it over, and I still didn't get it right. What's on a shot? You guys can email. I'm gonna have to send him that, I will have to sign in, and I don't know my password off the top of my head.
On resolution.
The one we're actually looking at is the one that's I did yesterday.
And it just called resolution.
Should have been 2 of them on that, I think. One group on it and 2.
I can forward it to
No,
the-
actually, the group on it number version 2. It was meant to be D on this, but for some reason it's not. So I don't know what went wrong. I can't without having copies, and they're so similar, and it'd take me forever to figure out. But that resolution that was meant to be his resolution with your red lines cleaned up.
And then the standalone one that's just that on red line, is that?
Correct. I think that's A. I think that's A. Okay. Zach. Pass them on down.
Thank you.
Step out the room.
Better have copies.
So as not to get any more confused. I think this one is your version 2.
No.
No?
Yes, and then I gave it to Mike to make a copy. Because that's the one we need to start with, because I'm not real sure which version this is. because
Sure, that's
it's,
that's version 2 for you, isn't it? It's got the 3 paragraphs after the statement.
but that's the therefore. There should be a third one that has the 352 management. It's missing. Not that it's vital and important because it's part of the piece that may be
Thank you,
deleted.
sir.
However,
Yeah. Here's your original.
thank you, kind sir.
I think that's-
Or. They're very close, but they're in the conversion from P back to Word and vice versa. It did some screwy things that there were some comments on these revisions. Okay. Everybody have a copy now?
I think we all have a copy of the one we're going to start with.
Okay.
Stapled or unstapled?
Stapled.
Okay.
Reference big things first. Staples,
Okay.
staples.
Lay it on.
Okay. So going through this document, I know that the first kind of piece of revision needs to be in the 1, 2, 3, 4th whereas that starts whereas the Fort Bend Subsidence District and Harris Galveston Subsidence District. And the piece that needs to be revised is the last portion of that statement to delete jurisdictions or to delete after the comma and add in, what was that language, Miss Stacy? Not a voting member?
Not a groundwater conservation district and not a voting member.
Not a voting member. Of GMA 14 and not a GCD. Which again, based on the fact TCEQ blames us all as defined as groundwater conservation districts. I just make my note for the record that I'm still against it, but I'm okay with it. The next piece going down is the last whereas statement on the first page. That is, whereas the groundwater conservation districts of GMA 14 approach for the development GMA 14 approach for the development of the desired future conditions included multiple metrics identified as limiting factors. Lone Star would like the word utilized after included, or included utilizing multiple metrics identified. Is that correct? On to the second page. In the third whereas statement, which reads, whereas the modeled pumping demand in each county was set at a maximum of 30,000 acre feet, the last sentence should have growth instead of grown, additional growth. And there was a second typo on that one that I don't remember what it was.
Additional growth and to constrain.
And to constrain. There we go. Then trekking down.
Got one of them. Whereas
Add an and after in each county. In each county, comma, and the desired future condition.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir. Again, for note, did change the DFC statement from and to or. We kept the two, whereas noting the 36108D4 as well as the 356.52 management criteria. And then we need to add the DFC statement of in each county in GMA 14, which we'll need to spell that back out. No less than 70% blah, 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 below the now therefore be it resolved paragraph. Everybody on this, maybe not same page. Okay, where's that one at?
Go from the bottom of page 1 and go up 3 whereas.
Back on page 1? Okay. It's a draw problem, not a spelling problem. Yes.
So the DFC statement should be repeated in the resolved section.
Yes. So it'll be repeated
Okay,
basically at the bottom.
up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rather than making you flip another page and put it back in.
Okay.
So, and then above the now therefore be it resolved, in the last sentence there, well, there's a couple of changes, but one thing definitely needs to be changed. The district specific drawdown and it should be district specific remaining drawdown. Remaining available drawdown, to be clear.
What are we talking?
Condition. DFC. Okay, question. Would deleting the district-specific drawdown and subsidence information that acts as, deleting that statement entirely work? So it would read as the updated Northern Gulf Coast groundwater availability model simulation that serves as the basis for the GMA 14-wide desired future condition can provide the foundation for the desired future condition adopted by the district. I can read it again if I need to.
Do you want to take out drawdown and subsidence?
I can.
I don't think we have to have that. I think if we could change it to specific remaining available drawdown or subsidence.
Okay, because I think deleting it too can also then kind of clarify that it's, whether it's the drawdown subsidence or that 30,000 acre foot that is a component.
That is the, okay. And you're saying, and then maybe we touch on it in this one for the water. Because this, are you concerned because this does not address the 30,000 acre foot limitation?
Right. So, or it's either adding more language or deleting the whole thing, because it's all based on that model simulation that'll be completely and totally perfectly written up to a T by Mr. Wade Oliver. So that I mean, because that's the basis for that, that.
Those are the three remaining factors, right? The 30,000, 70, or right?
True. Basically, again, this whereas statement is just kind of summarizing the model simulation itself. That because the 30,000, it's not part of the statement itself, but it is a kind of a limit in that multiple metric of capping. Am I correct in that?
Yes, it is. Well,
Can you turn that microphone around?
I'd be good with removing
Make sure
as
they can
well.
hear you online.
The DFC statement covers the bases.
Where was your other northern?
whereas the groundwater conservation district
At least I'm consistent. Okay. So back to the last whereas at the bottom of page 2. Striking the language, is that what we'd prefer to do to keep things simpler?
I think I like striking it. Keeps it cleaner.
I like striking instead of adding things, so.
And it's just for
John likes hitting everything, so
the model is not
Yep.
confusing, so I'm-
kill it, 2 pages.
Just say,
Provide the foundation for the desired future conditions adopted by the district.
Provides.
Provides.
So, yeah, the can needs to be canned. No pun intended. GMA-wide desired future condition provides the foundation for the desired future condition adopted by the district. Now therefore be it resolved.
Mhm.
And add in the DFC statement below that. That therefore be it resolved. Got it from the rooftops. That we're done.
The DFC is the same one up above in the middle of the page.
Yes, that exact statement is copied and pasted.
Gotcha.
Everybody good with that? The last whereas the updated Northern Gulf Coast groundwater availability model simulation that serves as the basis for the groundwater management area-wide desired future condition provides the foundation for the desired future condition adopted by the district.
condition down to provides.
Yes, sir.
Admin by identifying which metric has to be qualifiers, could we at least put in something that talks about what the file does? Or what language?
Yes.
Yeah, so it would read, whereas the updated Northern Gulf Coast groundwater availability model simulation that serves as the basis for for GMA 14 wide desired future conditions by identifying which metric acts as the limiting factor for each county and providing each groundwater conservation district with the district-specific remaining available drawdown and subsidence.
So you deleted all of that language on.
Yeah, we deleted,
By
yeah, that part.
identifying which metric has the limiting factor. It would be district-specific drawdown or subsidence information. That That way we can be inclusive of the 30,000.
Zach, I'm sorry.
Me too.
Your suggestion is to not include by identifying which metric access limiting factor each county. And also not include the district specific right at the sites. You would strike both of those?
Say the first part of that again. I'm not sure.
When I heard you read, did not include phrase by identifying which metric access limiting factor each county.
Correct. Because that's mostly because that's not in the document that we wound up having to start from, but yes.
Okay, and then you also were going to strike with the district specific remaining available drawdown at sites.
Yes.
Whereas the updated Gulf Coast stormwater availability model and simulations that serves as the basis for the GMA's desired future condition that identifies which metric acts as a limiting factor and provides the foundation for the desired future condition. So add in the words that identifies which metric acts as the limiting factor and provides the foundation for the desired future condition.
In my mind, since this whereas is specific to one single model simulation, it's not the bulk multiple runs or anything else, that is clear to me that the simulation is locked into whatever that compartment is, that identifies what you're saying. So I wouldn't add the language because I think the simulation, tying it to that singular simulation that's then written up in Appendix R, that centers and covers your additional language.
So does including the language cause a problem? I mean, I think we're thinking it would help clarify our situation better. Does it cause problems for y'all to include it?
I just don't see the need to include it because I think that all of that, your needs and everything else aside, I think that that's covered in the model write-up. That's the document that's going to reference it. It's not going to be this resolution or language in this resolution. All of those, arguments, anything else will be housed and covered in the write-up of that specific model simulation that we've adopted, tied to this DFC statement.
The way you say this is Appendix R that you're saying explains this, I'm going to read that up. You're like this highlighted?
Yes.
So where are we at, folks? We have a resolution in front of us that appears to be pretty specific to a DFC.
I support the changes we just talked about, but I would like to recommend that the font be Gothic. That's the only thing.
And written in invisible ink.
Just in case
I
you
think
don't-
every letter should change font.
Oh, and color. Absolutely.
Let's be unique.
I mean, because we blend in right now. We don't stand out. We need something to make us
Mhm.
rise above the other GMAs.
We just want to make sure that it's, fun and really readable for the Water Development Board. They can have as much fun with it as we have.
We have lemon.
Which we appreciate. It must drink a lot.
Did this particular version cover basis for the previous cycle? Didn't one of these versions have a paragraph that mentioned back to covering the basis for the 2016 revision?
Yes, it
Where is
does.
that in here?
It is on the bottom of page 1. Yeah, I did grab that from the first iteration.
Wasn't focusing in on. I didn't want it to happen without it being, you need to know.
Zach, just for discussion's sake, can you clarify y'all's need for the whereas 356 statements?
The 356 and the 36108 D4. My intention on including those two whereas statements is to make it as clear as humanly possible that what we're doing here at GMA 14 level is planning and planning only, and where the DFCs become management and policy is at the local level and through the management plans and ultimately your district's policy through rules and implementation as such. That's the reason and purpose why I took those statements from the code.
Local control.
Management.
Local management.
Thank you, sir. And so that everybody's clear for my intention on this, because one of the very explicit pieces that we have not talked about is that technically on page 3 that expressly states passed and adopted on this day, the 5th day of January 2022. That also was intentionally put in there. As much work as Wade has done on the explanatory report, I really don't want to handcuff him or us to a 60-day clock. Looking at what the general calendar has left for the rest of the year, it affords us some more time to be more diligent in working with Wade in making sure to really police and clarify and make sure that explanatory report is to the kind of the best possible avenue, and that we're not rushed through it. In addition to the fact that, the appendices is a large part of that, I really appreciate your work, but those just, I'm not going to read through them real quickly. And taking as much time as we have by certainly recognizing and meeting the statutory deadline of January 5th. And, why not start the year all back together and memorialize January 5th as the statutory mandate it is. And I do know that there are or there may be some consternation that folks may want to take this back to their boards with the changes from the end of the order, from the express statement itself, as well as having actual resolution language that they may want their boards to weigh in on and or see to make sure that they're on board with what the GMA has done. With my personal hope that we can continue to maintain and achieve a 5-0 vote that we began back in April on the proposed DFCs being a 5-0 vote, and also having our ultimate adoption being a 5-0 vote is my hope. I don't know if we can get there today. Again, most importantly, I don't want to put the explanatory report on a 60-day time clock. And so I would hope that we can do that by January. I do hope that we can come to an agreement that this is the final language to give that direction for each of us to take back to our boards as we need to report and or get the sign off on DFC statements, but also provide Wade with additional language and information that kind of helps continue to flesh out and finalize more pieces of the explanatory report to put the bow up in that lovely document.
I think Samantha agrees with, taking the time to, improve the ER, specifically as an example, the language with 356 that we just brought up. We'd love to see, rock solid clarification in the explanatory report about what you basically just said, that, in the intent of that statement is to, bring it to the local level for implementation.
I will absolutely make sure that those are memorialized in the minutes as I stated them.
And Samantha's also asking, can we do some sort of preliminary vote today?
Say that again. As long as it's that's as long as we're freezing this language and freezing this documentation in place and we are not adopting a DFC today. We don't start the clock, to my understanding.
Yeah, I was thinking that, like, you could do something, I agree with that. If you did something like approving the proposed form of the resolution that will guide the work, the remaining work of the explanatory report without a vote on the DFCs, I think that works. And then, so this wouldn't be executed today. It would just be an approval of the form of this to give direction to people so that they can go back and finish the job.
And as long as I don't use the word adopted, I'm still not on your time clock, right, Larry? Thank you.
So I think approve a form resolution that serves as the guide for the ER.
But there's still a risk that if we come back in January, we could have to start what we just did all over again? Or is it frozen?
I believe by our action today that we are freezing it. And then we will ultimately take a vote.
So Sam's saying if we do minutes and we clarify we're freezing the resolution, that's the intent of what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have to do this over again.
We're literally doing everything but using the word adopted. Because the word adopted starts us on a 60-day clock that I don't believe we're in a position to do. But we can freeze everything else in place.
Nothing else should be thrown at us.
Exactly. Those that may not have been prepared to vote in favor of the DFC change of that and to the or, can take this back to their board, say this is the language as it's proposed, and either have those conversations or not. Again, my hope is that we can get to a 5-0 as a GMA.
Okay, so what we're looking for is a motion to approve the resolution and proposed DFC for the purpose of drafting the explanatory report.
So moved.
A motion and a second.
John, I'm sorry, will you say it one more time? I didn't catch it.
Yeah, I'll repeat it. Give me just a second.
Okay.
Volunteer for the note taker. I move to approve the resolution and proposed DFC for the purposes of drafting the explanatory
We need to take a person by person vote or all or nothing kind of be good. Why don't we go person to person? Ms. Hopkins,
Yes, I agree.
Mr. Holland.
Yes.
I'm going to have to abstain. Ms. Ritter. Mr. Ashworth.
Anybody got a coin? I agree.
That motion is approved. Although I tried to derail it with my earlier comment, still only 10:40.
I'm still holding you responsible.
John, may I ask, Wade, are you happy with what we just did from your work? Is it good for you? Because you now have more time?
What you just did is consistent.
Okay. Good. I just was checking. If it caused you any headache is what I was asking. Okay.
No headaches, and from purpose of these plans. Lines I've had to go off is that the proposed use and this clarifies to me that I can develop an updated draft or make updates to the existing draft anytime that are consistent with an or being in there and including that text without it appearing like I'm taking this out.
Okay.
So the guidance itself.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll take the opportunity to tell you that I appreciate your hand holding this last few years. This teaching me, I know it's like training a monkey to use a computer, and I appreciate all the extra calls to me and my board. I appreciate your company's time. And I don't want to burn you guys out. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
You've gone from getting comments about your good looks to calling yourself a monkey.
Hey, skills and looks are completely different. I mean, look at Trump.
Next steps with ER, I think is what Samantha's asking. How do y'all envision that?
I've reviewed it. I don't have a whole lot of technical comments on the explanatory report myself. I've gone through it once. I know Zach has had quite a few changes. And I think Lone Star and Ms. Ritter are recommending a lot of things. I have not had time to look at the revised version of the draft yet, and I don't know to what degree it is taken in their comments so far at this point.
Very much so.
Has it?
Yes. Yeah,
So-
it's I mean, I would certainly encourage everybody to review it. It's in all of our best interest to put as much scrutiny on Wade as humanly possible, because my God, I want to get my money's worth out of him. But it's important for all of us to be very familiar with that document. And Wade has done nothing short of being very responsive to our comments and questions to date. There's nothing that I see or envision that would change that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. No pressure, but don't. And so I would envision that we continue to work through his drafts as he's written them up. If they're bigger question items, certainly, forward those to him, as I know that I provided comments on the first draft. If it's more kind of grammatical, how things are reading or writing or anything like that, I think that it's set up pretty easily to make your comments, and it can be tracked in one document, so we're all working off the same document.
And to clarify, Zach, you're in agreement that doesn't have to be finished on the 5th.
No.
Work in progress until we come back.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
Make
we're
sure
at
it's
6A, when we have our, in a perfect world, yes, it would be in a final state, at our final meeting on January 5th. But again, we still have the 60 days to get all of the appropriate dates and things like that will have to happen after that January 5th deadline to reflect our actions. But I'm hoping that we're certainly very close to that finalized document by that time, instead of wasting 3 months.
Okay. I can buy you lunch.
We need more than that.
Zach is asking Wade to email when you can update. Oh, email the group. When you,
Yeah, but when you make updates, if you would send a notification, say, hey, new sparkly thing, go look.
Who's going to update this?
Yeah,
I'd like to get it.
I've actually got it updated.
Yeah.
I got a board meeting next week. I'd like to have.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
Great.
I can get this turned around
Okay, thank you.
in a clean. I'll have one in a red line so everybody can see and make sure that I caught all of the changes. And then I'll also attach a clean version to make it nice and pretty.
Thanks for going above and beyond. Seriously.
9
But
pages.
Bill too. I know Bill was helping.
But preferably not until next round, but yeah.
All right.
Moving right along, anybody have any final thoughts on that?
Samantha just wants to say thank you for your thoughtful consideration.
I have a big stock in. I'll send it over.
Next item, number 10, discussion and possible action regarding the next meeting date, location, and agenda item. So we know it's going to be on the agenda. I know Zach really wants to put it on the very last date. Mr. French, question for you. Let's say we have a winter storm on January 5th, and we do not get this adopted. We have to worry about penalties of any sort?
Good.
Is there anything anywhere that, based on a penalty of any sort?
One possibility
And I think even in that case, based on the fact that we would have a posted agenda, and it was, we made it poignantly clear we were going to be taking this action, but God had other plans. Get out of the way. I can heed those warnings.
Having had a date chosen for us is the 5th, clear on everybody's calendars.
What time would you like?
It's
Is the facility available? Comes up on the facility. Who what?
Cake excuse is all I can say.
He was thinking stronger.
Okay, bourbon cake.
No, it doesn't matter. I think 9:30 is a good time if everybody else is good.
9:30 work again?
Can we use your facility, Mike? Will you have the projector working by Mike?
It'll be fixed by then.
And the brisket thingy, something already?
Or the bacon, no, either way. the brisket or the bacon.
somebody's birthday on that day? Okay, so we'll have those taken care of. We'll have birthday tacos.
I am falling in love this morning.
No, don't.
So we are looking at Wednesday, January 5th at 9:30 a.m. here at this facility. All on board? Got that nailed down. Agenda item 11, meeting adjourned at 10:49. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
It's really good to see everyone again. I really enjoyed that. Missed it.
I told John to wear a mask, not because of COVID, just because.
Oh, come on, monkey boy.
Seems to be all right.